Last week, you were in New York for this arraignment. The world watched it. You've not given an interview since. You were there, I think, 57 minutes. Tell us from your perspective what that was like.
They were incredible. When I went to the courthouse, which is also a prison, in a sense, they signed me in. And I'll tell you, people were crying. People that work there, professionally work there, that have no problems putting in murderers, and they see everybody. It's tough, tough place. And they were crying. They were actually crying. They said, I'm sorry. They'd say, 2024, sir, 2024. And tears are pouring down their eyes. I've never seen anything like those people are phenomenal. Those are your police.
Yep.
Those are the people that work at the courthouse. They're unbelievable people. Many of them were in tears or close to it. Many apologists were sorry, sir. We're sorry.
Ah, yes, big, strong men, men with muscles. You've never seen men with muscles like this. They could bench press a car, and they were all crying, tears streaming down their faces, and they said, sir, this is a travesty. Sir, please take my money, sir. Please take my wife, sir. Here's the thing. You could tell me that a dinosaur then broke into the courthouse, and it wouldn't make this story any less credible. I don't know what's sadder about this lie from Trump, the fact that he thinks that we believe him, or that he knows his supporters will believe him. And let's just remember, Trump's legal team has been spending weeks accusing the entire DA's office and New York justice system of bias against him. He called this arraignment a witch hunt. He had insisted over and over that holding this court hearing in Manhattan is unfair to him and that the process should be relocated to a more Republican area. And yet now, because he's so narcissistic and incapable of keeping his lies straight, he's also telling us that the staff at this courthouse were actually crying and saying they're so sorry he's been treated this way and saying that they support him in 2024. So yeah, Donald Trump should probably square this story with Donald Trump. But here's where it really gets bad for Tucker, as Trump actually manages to humiliate him on his own show.
I did a good job. I did a great job with North Korea. Kim Jong-un, you went with me on a trip. You insulted him, which didn't make my life too easy, but that's okay. But you were there, one of the few. And it was an amazing, it had to be one of the most incredible experiences for you.
For sure.
I mean, my God, if Tucker having to eat shit by sitting down with someone who he clearly hates wasn't bad enough, if him having to pretend that Trump's boring rants are life-changing wasn't bad enough, then him having to listen to Trump take thinly veiled shots at him is just the icing on the cake. And while you have Tucker Carlson conducting this interview with no pushback on these obvious lies, which of course is no surprise, let's remember, Tucker Carlson is on record with private text messages obtained through Dominion's lawsuit against Fox, where he said that he, quote, hates Trump passionately. He called Trump a demonic force, a destroyer. He said Trump could easily destroy us if we play it wrong. He said, we are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. And yet now, even after these text messages came to light, still he has to sit there pretending to hang on Trump's every word. Talk about having your balls cut off. When you see Tucker sitting there listening intently to this absurdity from Trump like some kid learning about Santa Claus for the very first time, remember that he knows what we all know. Trump is a pathological liar and an idiot. And of course, Tucker will never admit it out loud, but he knows that Trump is dangerous and unhinged. He knows that everything he spews is a lie, and he knows that he is a criminal. But because he and every other anchor at Fox financially depend on pandering to and inciting the MAGA cult, he will continue to promote this propaganda. Because this isn't about his viewers' lives, it's about Tucker's own wallet. And just in case you don't think that Tucker's aware of this phenomenon, here he is basically admitting to this by projecting in the most obvious way possible.
For the Chinese, it's just so easy. How do you win a war without fighting? By getting your adversary to kill himself. Well, how do you convince a strong, self-respecting, powerful country like ours that has ruled the world for 100 years to do that? Turns out it's pretty easy. You take a collection of dumb, desperate people in middle age, hoping to keep on to their stupid TV jobs. You add scripts and some hairspray, and they just repeat the lies for you.
Because every accusation is a confession. And while both Trump and Tucker lie to their own supporters, here's Trump demonizing Democratic voters, saying they're the biggest problem in the world, bigger than Russia, China, and North Korea.
I often say, they said to me the other day, one of your fellow journalists said, who's the biggest problem, sir? Is it China? Could it be Russia? Could it be North Korea? No, I said, the biggest problem is from within. It's these sick, radical people from within, because we can handle, if we're smart, we can handle Russia, China. I did. I took in billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars from China. No other president took in anything, and they respected me. He's the same thing, you know.
And this is a perfect encapsulation of the Republican Party. While they make it easier for people who shouldn't have guns to obtain weapons of war, take away reproductive rights, ban books, suppress voters, spread outright lies, they accuse the other side of being radical and being the enemy for wanting healthcare to be affordable and people not to be discriminated against. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. But let's be clear here. Trump saying that the biggest enemy in the world are the Americans who don't support him is a clear provocation of his cult supporters to continue to escalate their attacks. They'll likely continue to send death threats to people like Alvin Bragg and any other law enforcement official who dares hold Trump accountable for his crimes. For these Republicans, the violence isn't a bug, it's a feature. They know they can't win on their ideas, on their agenda, on their platform, on their candidates, and so instead, they need to leverage violence as a political tool. They need to stoke fear and hatred and division. I mean, this isn't hard. What Trump did to gain power wasn't innovative, he is a demagogue. There have been dictators and autocrats throughout the entirety of history who did what he did, who exploited the fears and insecurities of desperate people. What he did was easy. He did the work of a weak man. What's hard is being strong. What's hard is bringing people together and showing that we shouldn't submit to our basest instincts. That's what figures who are celebrated in history have done. That's what Lincoln and JFK and Martin Luther King Jr. did. That's why we celebrate them and not Hitler or Stalin or Mao. In fact, Republicans love to point out that they're the party of Lincoln. I spoke with Jamie Raskin in a recent interview, and he laid out exactly why that talking point hurts Republicans given what they've devolved into.
Remember that, Lincoln's party has now become a cult of authoritarian personality. And, the rank and file membership of a cult, they are absolute true believers and they believe it real strongly. I mean, as you get closer and closer to the top, there are people who don't believe it. They're manipulating it.
We have the Tucker Carlsons of the world, Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity's. We have those text messages that reveal stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they are people who use propaganda in the sense of using magic against people who believe in it by those who don't believe in it anymore and understand what a fraud it is. And yeah, Tucker Carlson goes behind closed doors. They understand that Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump and, all of them are out to lunch with their claims about election fraud, but then they're perfectly willing to go out on TV in order to sell that to the cult, because that's the cult line, and they've got to stick with the official propaganda line. I mean, that's a terrifying thing when that's how a whole political movement and a whole political party operate.
So yeah, maybe Republicans should think twice about patting themselves on the back for being the party of Lincoln, considering Lincoln wouldn't make it out of a primary in today's GOP. All of which is to say, given this absurd interview between Tucker and Trump, this is exactly why we need to stay engaged. Both Trump and Fox are facing deep legal troubles, and that means that they're going to double down on their lies and fear tactics. They control the House, they control state governments across the country, and they are hell-bent on their extreme MAGA agenda. That means it's on all of us to be hell-bent on defending democracy. This is a fight that we shouldn't be afraid to have, and it's a fight that we are certain to win. Before you go, a quick announcement. I've started a Spanish YouTube channel. Democrats desperately need to be able to appeal to Spanish-speaking audiences, so this is me doing my part. To help that channel get going in the algorithm so that we can finally start spreading our progressive message and breaking the conservative stranglehold on Spanish-speaking media, please subscribe and watch a few videos. The link to that channel, called Brian Tyler Cohen Espanol, is right here on this screen. And of course, to see more of my content in English, make sure to subscribe to this channel as well. The link is also right here on this screen. Thanks so much for watching.